June is for recruiting. There's a lot of us that are going to watch the games. Well, I say a lot of us. All of us are tuned into the games week 0. All of us are tuned into the national title game. All of us are tuned into the conference championship game. But I'll tell you this right now, what happens in the summer right now is going to impact where your team stands when it comes to the fall, when it comes to November. So right now, there's some teams that are making moves. And I want to talk about a couple of these teams. Really quick preface, this is not an exhaustive list. We're not talking about every single team here that's winning right now in recruiting, but a couple teams we've got to, highlight right now. Let's go back to Nebraska. Matt Rule has been on a tear. Last I checked, they have 12 commitments in the month of June alone. And here's the exciting thing for Nebraska fans. Yes, you're getting better personnel. Yes, you're getting some of the players you're excited about from the high school level to join you in Lincoln, Nebraska. But to be real with you, that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like, Matt Rule's secret sauce is development. Evaluation and development is how he has made his bed. Everything he does within that team is to prepare those guys to go and be pros. I was within his team for a couple of minutes when I was at Baylor, and I'll just say this. Everything he's doing is to give these guys a chance at the NFL. Perfect example, a lot of the starters on this football team at Nebraska, you're going to see him running down on kickoff. You're going to see him running down on punt. You say, well, that's kind of weird. Why is our starting running back the L2 on our kickoff team? That doesn't make any sense. Because whenever that running back gets to the NFL, they're going to ask him to play special teams. And so Matt Rule was saying, I want to develop you and prepare you to go achieve your dreams at that next level. And in doing that, he's making his team better. In doing that, he's making his football team better. And also, I promise you, recruits see the guys that get to the league from that Rule coach teams. I'll tell you, this doesn't hurt. In fact, does the opposite. Bolsters them tremendously on the recruiting trail. You're seeing what they're doing right now. And this is exciting, but again, just the tip of the iceberg. Make sure you subscribe right here to the On3 YouTube channel. The Hard Count is live twice a week. We talk ball every day. We're glad to have you here. Follow me on the socials. At JD Piquel on Twitter, as well as on Instagram. Now, the Florida Gators, man, they have been on an absolute heater, and you never walk away from a heater. You just don't do it. 10 commitments so far in the month of June. They have the number 3 class, last I checked, in the On3 industry team recruiting rankings. Billy Napier and company have gone to work. They are recruiting like a full-on program. And we talked about it yesterday on a one-off video, but I want to make sure we have this conversation during the live show and during the podcast. How should you assess this recruiting momentum that Billy Napier and company, how should you evaluate what they're doing right now? Because recruiting doesn't just automatically equal wins. Like, you need talent to win games, but you can also have a very talented football team and lose some games. So the advice I would give to Florida Gator fans when trying to assess what they're doing right now, use it as a compass. A compass does not tell you where you're at. Compass is not a map. A compass is not a destination, but a compass tells you which way you're going. And I think this is proof that you're headed the right direction. And a lot of people, the Billy Napier naysayers, the haters, if you will, sipping on that haterade, they're going to say 2 things. First thing they're going to say, well, wait till Florida takes the field. Wait till they start losing games. Just wait for that. Y'all, they're committing to a team that won 6 ball games a season ago. All right, they understand that Florida's kind of in this climb back stage. They're still trying to get to the top of the mountain. They understand that this isn't going to be a thing that Florida just goes off and likely wins the SEC this year. Now, far be it for me to give you an absolute with the college football season, but that's probably not going to be the way that this thing shakes out in 2023. But a lot of these kids that are committing, I would say all these kids that are committing, they're coming to Gainesville to be a part of the solution. They say, yeah, Florida hasn't been what it historically is known to be. We're here to bring the brand back to being prominent. We're here to restock those trophy cases. All right, so I don't believe that a lot of these kids are going to just jump ship if they see Florida win 6 games again. Don't think that's going to happen. Other thing you're going to hear, people are going to say, well, that's great, you got all that talent. Billy Napier can't develop that talent. He doesn't know what he's doing. Never been an SEC head coach before. And to those people, I would say Billy Napier comes from the Sun Belt. A lot of the haters like to throw the name Sun Belt Billy out there. They think it's kind of a sneaky jab. Like, in the Sun Belt, everybody has 3-star recruits. Everybody. Like, that's what you're working with. You all pretty much have the same pieces. So if Billy Napier is winning and we all have the same pieces, what does that tell you? He's doing a good job, 1, coaching, and 2, developing, getting the most out of his 3 stars than you are. And so what I'm trying to say is development is how Billy Napier has gotten the job at Florida. So I would be a little bit slow to assume that these kids that are coming to Gainesville just are going to show up and disappear. I don't believe that's going to be the case. So Florida on a heater. Keep an eye on them throughout the rest of the summer. And as we get closer to signing day, we'll obviously talk more about the Gators. Texas, all gas, no brakes down there in Austin. And they've been a team that sort of hung back a little bit. Had a number 3 class last year, and they're not within the top 10 right now. But you're seeing them start to make a move now here. 5 commits in the month of June. They've got 7 commits total. And the best way I would describe Texas is they've kind of got that 400-meter mentality. For those of y'all that are familiar with that race, it's it is a full lap around a track. And a good 400-meter runner understands that race isn't won within the first 100 to 200 meters. A good runner, a smart runner, will wait till you get past that halfway point. Wait till you round the curve, and down that final stretch, that's where they really make their move. That's where you have what we call a kick, a little gas in the tank, and you make your move there, and then by the end of it, would you know, you're on the podium. So for Steve Sarkisian and company, they landed Jarrett Gibson, the number 2 back out of Gainesville, Florida, and this is one impactful because Steve Sarkisian, his offense, they want to run the football. They're predicated on running the football and then setting up the pass with the RPO system, just adding more to the stable. Like, there's that piece of it. There's also the piece that Steve Sarkisian went into SEC country and landed Jarrett Gibson. I don't think that should be overlooked. So just keep an eye on Texas right now. They're not going to be, the top of the rankings when you look at the end of the month, but just keep an eye on how they close here. And as they start to gain steam, as we start to round that 200-meter mark in the recruiting calendar, watch Texas close. Okay? Georgia, number 1 class right now. You say, JD, why are we talking about the number 1 class? Have they been exceptionally hot in June? You could say that. They've got 5 commitments right now. They're still the number 1 class. They've kind of done their work throughout the calendar. The thing for Georgia that I think we need to pay attention to and how they're recruiting and why we're talking about them right now, like I said, 5 commitments in the month of June. 4 of those commitments are on the defensive line. Like, this is Kirby Smart just saying, hey, I still know how this works. I still know the rules of this game. And the rules of this game are, if you can't move me and I can move you, I win. And I'll say this, Nick Brake and I went to the media day last year for the national title game. You got TCU, you got Georgia, got to see both these teams walking around in street clothes. And when Georgia walked into the building, it was a very, very different eye test than when TCU walked into the building. That's no shade on TCU. They earned the right to be there. But Georgia, you could just tell, it's like, oh, okay, they've been eating their Wheaties down there in Athens. Those are some big human beings. Those dudes are going to be tough to move on 4th and 1. And so for Georgia, they're understanding it's still a size game, it's still a depth game, and they're adding more size, they're adding more depth. I'll say this too, they added a 3-star defensive lineman, Nnamdi Ogboko, and if Kirby takes a 3-star, everybody else should be nervous because that tells you that Kirby Smart sees something that a lot of people aren't seeing. And if I'm looking at the resume of Kirby Smart, I'm looking in the jewelry box of Kirby Smart, I think he's got a good feel for the way this kid is going to trend. Big body, hasn't been playing football that long. I'll just say this. They feel good about him, I would imagine. They feel very, very good about him. They feel just fine taking the 3-star kid and adding him to the 2024 class. So Nebraska, Texas, Georgia, Florida, all rolling right now in June. It's a long way till signing day. Nothing is final till pen meets paper, but I think all those teams are in a good spot as we head into the fall. Hey y'all, thanks so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel here to make sure you don't miss an episode of The Hard Count. Also be sure to check out other videos on the On3 YouTube channel.